listening to the Technical Staff and Theatre Workers podcast. It's the podcast in which I talk to people who work backstage in the technical theatre industry about how they got in, their experiences, and any advice they can give to anyone getting in. This is episode 9 of season 1. A big thank you to everyone who's downloaded the show, everyone who's listening to the show. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell everyone you know who's interested in theatre and those who aren't interested in theatre, because it might make them interested in theatre. Yes, thank you so much for all the downloads. It's been really good so far, so really enjoying it. And without further ado, let's get on to our next guest. I'm here with my guest at this time. If you'd like to introduce yourself and tell me what your current job title is.
I'm Ella McDermott, and I am stage manager on Old Friends.
Old Friends. The Sondheim thing.
Yeah, Sondheim.
Oh, good. It's nice to see you as well, because I haven't seen you for a while.
Well, I know. It's good to see you, Bram.
How did you get into theatre, Ella?
Oh, gosh, that's a good question. I was about 13 or 14 years old, and Phantom of the Opera came to Manchester Opera House, and my mum took me to see it, and it was from there I decided. I spent the day after that looking at theatre jobs, read about the job of stage manager, and this was in a careers library because this is before the internet was a thing. And then thought stage manager's the one for me, and that's sort of why I sort of, I don't know, that, and I must have hit my head as a child or something. Theatre's for me.
It's not that bad.
Yeah.
Did you train in theatre? Where did you train?
I did train. I left school and then I did a BTEC in theatre, and then I went to the Central School of Speech and Drama.
Ooh, very posh.
Yeah. So.
Excellent. What was your first job in theatre?
What was my first one? I think it might even be Les Miserables. I think my first one where I got some money was Les Miserables, and that was as a DEP, and that was when Les Miserables was at the Palace Theatre.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
that was a long time ago.
It was quite a while ago, and Les Mis has been a feature of the career.
Excellent, of course, naturally, yeah, you keep going back sporadically.
Yeah.
A list of all the jobs you've had in the industry. That's all.
List of all the jobs.
Of all the jobs that you've had since your first job at Les Mis, up until your job currently on Old Friends.
Well, I've largely just done stage management. I've been assistant stage manager for many years. ASM book cover.
On what shows?
I worked at the National Theatre for a number of years. I worked at Glyndebourne Opera House as an ASM. I worked on Phantom of the Opera as an ASM. We Will Rock You as an ASM. Quite a lot of ASM positions here, there and everywhere. My CV's quite long, so I can't remember everything.
I'm not asking you to name them all.
So did ASMing and then a bit of DSMing.
Excellent.
Stage managing, but
I Les Mis a lot.
Les Mis a bit. Places like the Young Vic, the Royal Court.
So producing houses.
Producing houses. A lot of sort of smaller venues. Even I did the Bush Theatre, so I've sort of done the whole range of theatre, I'd have to say, from pub theatres to big West End shows.
Oh, that's good. That's nice.
Yeah.
It's nice to have a full range.
Not the full range.
What would you say is your favourite job that you've had? And why?
Oh, gosh, I wish I'd thought about that. I wish I hadn't have just sat down and not thought about anything. Favourite job? Well, there's a lot of favourite jobs, and it's difficult to say this one, and it will be for varying reasons. You know, sometimes the people and the banter are what get you through a job.
Yeah.
And so you just have a great time because you're with a great team. Production-wise, you know, Les Mis is always going to be there because it's a super show that I've really loved working on. I love the show I'm doing at the moment. I really enjoyed there was a little play I did at the Bush years and years and years ago, and it was hilarious, and that was called The Dysfunctionals. And so there's a few highlights along the way that really stand out. I did a fantastic show at the National called The Kitchen, and that was one of the highlights because it was a great team, it was a great show, and all those tick those sorts of boxes. You know, sometimes it's about the people.
Yes, of course it is. Yeah, absolutely. The people will get you through a lot.
The people will get you through. Yeah, if they're great people.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Sometimes the people drag you down. So.
Yes. Now, Ella, you've been in the industry a while, as we know. As a woman in the industry, have you come across any issues within the industry because you're a woman, with regards to, obviously not naming names, but maybe not being accepted for jobs or being held back at all or anything like that?
No, I don't think
Good.
that's stopped me at all. No.
Good answer. Good answer. What would you say are the pros and cons of being in the industry?
The pros would be it is at the end of the day a fun job to do, and when you do jobs that aren't theatre, and before theatre I worked in shops, I worked at a theme park. When you do
Did you work at the theme park?
I did work at a theme park.
Which theme park did you work at?
Gulliver's World.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. When you do actual jobs, then I know what we're doing is an actual job.
Yes,
but we're lucky.
It's almost because we create escapism, don't we? So it's almost like it's not
true.
real life, even though it is real life, because it is a job. But because you create the escapism for the audience, it's not. It doesn't feel like real life.
Yeah, exactly. So the pros are it can be really fun. If you love the show you're working on, then it's a joy to come to work because you're enjoying yourself and you're with great people.
Or the people you work with, like you said earlier.
Yeah.
Even if you're not a big fan of the job you work on, if you come to work and you've got a great team with you or you've got great people you work with, it's always
exactly
great.
that.
It's always good fun.
Yeah, you're going to have a nice time. And there's a lot of cons that come with that. To be honest, there's a lot of hard things with theatre. I think the hours aren't great.
Very unsociable.
You're very unsociable. I think you notice. I think when you're younger, you don't really notice or care that you're working.
Yeah.
Antisocial hours, but then when sort of life goes by, you realise that you're missing out on things. There's
It can be like that as well. Theatre. You can get into a job, as we both know, and you blink, and it's 5 years later.
Exactly.
And you don't really realise how quickly things go.
Time goes by, and I think, you can reflect on things a lot and think, well, hang on a minute, time has gone by, no family of your own, you've just sort of done theatre, nothing else. You've got, sometimes relationships get sacrificed for theatre because of the hours. So yeah, there's negatives. There can be long hours. You can get very tired, because if you're doing things like technical rehearsals, it can be very full on, and you really have to be very committed to the job.
Yes.
And I think sometimes you can get to a point where you just think, oh well, actually, I'd
rather not.
I'd rather have seen my family more.
Yeah, it is a balancing act, very much so.
Yeah.
What would you say is a common misconception to anybody new trying to get into the industry?
I would say that drama school was probably great, and you probably did some great shows at drama school, but doesn't mean you're ready to be a stage manager of a big West End show. It means you're ready to go and be an ASM. It means you're ready to maybe stage manage very, very small productions. So I think, though, I think that might be a misconception there. I think perhaps people might think they've trained now, and now they should be where they want to be.
So
exactly.
So you need to realise that even if you come out of college and you've stage managed a show in college, you more than likely will still be starting at not at the bottom, because that's a negative way of looking at it, but in a lower position even than you feel like you should be.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I think, I suppose more recently, actually, I've encountered people who have left drama schools who I don't know where it's come from, but there is more of a sort of you're lucky to have me sort of attitude going on. Yeah,
there can be an entitlement
rather
absolutely.
than what a great thing I've been given this job, and here what a fantastic opportunity, and all that hard work I've put in has paid off at university. It's more of a fantastic, they've got me working here, how lucky for them.
That's yes. But that's the aim of this podcast, you see, is so people can have that, can be given that information, given that advice about getting in, that it's not a straight, I come out of college thinking I'm the best and get straight into the top job and I'm going to know exactly what I'm going to do and I'm capable of doing it. You have to work hard. It's a process, and it's a very hard process. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, you definitely have to work hard, and if you've gone to university and then you get a theatre job at the end of it, great, you're winning. But then you've still got a journey. We all have. I'm learning new things every single day.
Everybody does.
Every time I join a new team, there'll be different dynamics, and you have to sort of think, okay, well, how's this going to work best with this person, or and
I feel sometimes that's not taught either. Is you have to have very good, especially stage management, personal communication skills. You have to be able to talk to people, not just each other, but the cast, creatives. You have to be able to talk to people and you have to change your cadence in the way you talk, depending on the situation in which you're in.
Absolutely.
And that's something that you can't be taught.
No, but, you can definitely read books about management, because you probably wouldn't have been taught that at drama school. So I would recommend that.
Well, that leads us on to the next question. Any advice to anybody who wants to get into the industry? If you're really bent on doing it, then my advice probably, it seems to me that the only way in probably is drama school. And the reason for that is it gives you a reason to get a work placement. I think it would be quite hard to get a work placement without a named drama school, but you could try. I mean, I think more and more now universities and drama schools have sort of become little industries in themselves, and they're sort of trying to rip people off. So if you you could try. Basically, I think you need to get writing or emailing. Writing's what I did 20 years ago. Email people, write to stage managers. So when I was sort of trying to get myself out there, I did a lot of shadowing. I wrote to stage managers. I'd always find out their name. You can always find out somebody's name who's working on a show. Just phone up and
stage door.
That counts for a lot.
It does. If I get a sir or madam letter, you're not getting a response. Which sounds pretty harsh, but I just think you can phone up a stage door. You can get somebody's name, and you can write, and you can ask whether you would ask them if you could sit and watch a DSM call the show. If you do that and they say yes, you can sit and watch a DSM call the show. Look interested. And
don't get your phone out.
Absolutely, ever. Don't get your phone out. Appreciate that actually for someone to have you with them while they're calling a show, or if you're shadowing them in the wing, anything like that. That's that they're doing something for you.
Yes, they don't have to.
Yeah, they don't have to do that. So be a bit grateful about that, and that's nice, because I'm saying these things and it sounds slightly condescending, but it is good advice, because you do get people who do come along and you just think, I'm not, why am I sort of taking this time out to show you this, because you don't look at all interested.
And ask questions.
Ask questions.
The amount of times we've had people who you say, "Is there anything you want to know? Anything?" No, I'm fine.
Yeah.
But there's so much you don't know, so you ask.
Ask.
There's no question too stupid. We're not going to make fun of you for asking questions.
No, ask. And then a little thank you note's always nice, That's just the, polite little things go a long way. And they really do, because, some theatre shows do need things like, they're called DEPs. That's basically like a cover who you might phone up who's learned to plot if you need them in an emergency. If you have somebody round and you think, that person who shadowed, they seem like they're good, so why don't we get them to learn something
else?
Yeah, or maybe they could come and help our cast change and things like that. So it's all about a good attitude when you come in.
Attitude.
Yeah.
Perfect. And that's everything for you.
Oh, well, that was short and sweet.
It was lovely. It was perfect. Thank you very much for joining me.
Well, thanks for having me.
Thank you.
A big thank you to Ella for that one. I enjoyed talking to Ella. Always enjoy talking to Ella.
Thank you so much for listening to this. Thank you so much for downloading it. It's been really great. Really loving it so far. And long may it continue. Thank you to all the guests that have been on. And I shall see you all next week.